Moving on. Moving on. Good afternoon, everybody. And good morning to you, Phil, who just woke up, although it's already 2 o'clock. I'm pretty sure. Study from home. Some of you definitely just woke up, right? Look, we have another good morning. How is everyone doing today? Okay, so today we will be discussing the third and the fourth piece so that all of you can proceed on to do your group assignment. Alright? So starting off, we will have the third P, which is pricing. And after pricing, we will move on to place. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on to the videos. Moving on to the pricing chapter, we are now going to discuss the third of the fourth P, which is price. So, in this chapter, we will learn about the psychology of pricing, the strategy. Moving on to the pricing chapter, we are now going to discuss the third of the fourth P, which is price. So, in this chapter, we will learn about the psychology of pricing, the strategies we can use to set prices, and how consumers perceive price. We all know what price is, but do we really know what a price is? So, before we can know what a price is, we need to know what money is.
Fellas, look what I found in my pocket. Look, a year's salary right here. What I coupon. See that? A fun coupon.
Come on the sloop, John B. Grandfather and me.
Back in the days when, in the very olden times before money was invented, there used to be a system called the barter system. In the barter trade system, people used goods to exchange for other goods. And then when money was created, money is a medium that we use to exchange for goods and services. So in different countries, we have different currencies, right? So money is what we use to exchange, and the price is how much money we will use to change for a product or service. Okay, so in essence, the formal definition is changing money for value. Okay, when we change for a product or services, essentially we are changing for a value of the product or services. So how do you think Starbucks price their products? They have so many different types of coffees, and each type of coffee comes at a very different price, right? In Malaysia, I think some festive drinks can go all the way up to $20 per cup, and this is a price from the US Starbucks, and it can go from as low as $1.95 a cup to as high as $6 a cup. Probably more if you customize your drinks. But how do you think they price all of this? Well, most likely it's based on value. It's not based on how much it costs them to make a drink, but rather how much people are willing to pay for that drink. Starbucks can charge you a premium on their drinks because of their handcrafted beverage and the additional services that they give to you, such as personalization. You know how every time when they take your order, they will ask for your name so that they can write it on the cup? Yeah, so those value added services is what allows Starbucks to charge their drinks at such a high price. Today, if you use the Starbucks app to pay, they won't even ask you for your name anymore because all the data is already recorded there. So from the card, they know your name and they will immediately write it on the cup upon your order. So in that sense, value is the total benefits minus the total cost. So in our case, it's what products or services that we are going to receive in return for the amount of money that we have paid. So the most basic thing when you are thinking about setting a price for your products is your product cost and how much are you going to sell it, right? So in terms of product cost, let's say if your product costs $1, you cannot sell anything below $1 because you will have no profits below that price. And in terms of consumer perceptions of value, this is how much they are willing to pay for a product. All right, remember a demand is the purchasing power for something that they want or need. So if their perceptions of value is lower than the price that you set, then they will not buy the product. What I'm trying to say here is if the consumers perceive that the product is worth $2 and you charge it at $2.50, they will not buy the product because the product is not worth $2.50. Alright, this slide says, if you win a customer on price, you will lose that customer on price. If you win a customer on value, you will keep that customer on value. What it's trying to say is that if you are using your price to win over your customer, eventually you will lose that customer because there will be competitors who can offer a better price than you. Instead, if you win a customer based on your product's value, the customer will continue to buy from you because they feel that you provide a valuable service for them or a product. Now, a good example that I can give you on value is the first ever iPhone that was launched. It was sold at an initial price of $499. It was extravagant because all the other phones were sold at $100 to $200. So what Apple was trying to do is they were trying to sell the value of their product because it was revolutionary. So there was no other competitors who could give what kind of features that they could. And we look at it now and all the new iPhones are priced around $1,000. So at that time, after they sold the first ever product and they went to gather some feedback on how much were you willing to pay for the first iPhone. Actually, most consumers answered that they were willing to pay around $1,000. So Apple had lost the opportunity to price their products at a more appropriate value because they were customers who were willing to pay $1,000, whereas they were only selling it for $500. So I believe that they have taken that into consideration, and most iPhones today are sold closer to the $1,000 range rather than in the hundreds.
Hello, welcome to the Apple Store. How can we help you?
Hi there, I'm here to purchase the new iPhone 12. I'll get the 512 Pro version, please.
Great. So the total will be $12.99. Would you like to purchase a charger for your iPhone?
Hold on, the what now? The charger isn't included with the iPhone?
No.
So the difference between cost-based pricing is we are determining the price based on the cost of the materials and labor and everything that we need to create the product. And then we have a markup on the product based on the cost, and then we convince that the buyers that the product is worth this price. Value-based pricing, on the other hand, is we gather what kind of needs and wants that the customer have and how they perceive the price is of the solutions of these products. So we set our price based on their value, and then we deliver the product to them at the targeted price that they are willing to pay. So this way, we are able to maximize our profits because we can maximize the amount of money which customers are willing to pay to us. For example, we have Lyra and Swarovski, how they collaborated. Lyra is a high-end luxurious brand that sells women's shoes. And so they collaborated with Swarovski to use their crystals and embed it in the shoes and to sell it at an even higher price. So why do you think this strategy works? This is because the perceived value of Swarovski crystal is high. So when they put it together with another high-end brand, they can sell it at an extravagant price. I think I've seen these shoes before and they are priced at the range of around maybe 2,000 to 3,000 ringgits per pair. So in actual fact, they are able to do replacement for these crystals if you were, to accidentally drop them after wearing it. And they told me that they would replace the crystal bits for you at 10 cents each. So actually, I believe that these crystals are quite worthless, but the perceived value of it is very high. So customers are willing to pay a high price for a product like this. Now, within customer value-based pricing, there are actually a few different types that uses the concept of value-based pricing. The first one is called the good value pricing. So this is trying to offer the maximum value at the given price. All right. So which means something that you are trying to pay. If you are trying to sell something for 1,000 ringgit, you trying to estimate that customers will perceive this product to be worth 1,000 ringgit. Okay, so for example, we have the Mercedes CLA. This is sort of a more entry level for the Mercedes brand. It's cheaper compared to the other series, but it's also sold at a much more affordable price compared to the other series. And then secondly, we have EDLP. This is called everyday low pricing. So in this strategy, the retailers will usually sell products at a constant low price every day. So they don't usually have any more discounts because the price of the products are already low every day. We can see some examples of EDLP here. So like AA Pharmacy, for those in Malaysia, you guys will know about this. Mr. DIY, 99 Speedmart, Giant, and even AirAsia. So their strategy is to offer low prices every day. And with this strategy in mind, they don't really have many sales promotions or discounts because they are already selling it at an affordable price. The second one is called high-low pricing. Okay, remember still, this is all based on value-based pricing. So in high-low pricing, we charge higher prices every day, but we run frequent promotions and discounts to lower the prices temporarily on selected products. This is a very odd strategy that is frequently adopted by products that are perceived to be very high in value. So for example, these are Bohemia Crystal Glass or furnitures. If you go to any department stores and you look for crystal products, I can guarantee you there is always a discount tag that is attached to it. Why? This is because they are using high-low pricing. So every day it is sold at a very high price. Maybe a pair of cup like this will cost around 700 or 800 ringgit, but they will discount it down to 200 ringgit. So constantly there is a discount. Likewise, for products like furnitures, anytime you go to a furniture store, there is always a sale going on. So this strategy of high-low pricing is to charge an initial high price and then run constant promotions so that customers perceive that they are getting much more worth out of their money. Now the third one is called value-added pricing. In this type of pricing, we have value-added features and services, first of all, to differentiate the company's offers and also their higher prices. So the example given here is the Philips Hue light. So this is actually just a colored light bulb, right? So in terms of cost, I believe that it is not superly expensive, but because of the functionalities that these lights can give, it can change to 16.8 million different colors of combinations. There is also an app that goes along with these light bulbs so that you can change the colors and control it from your smartphone app itself. So a regular light bulb costs maybe $10 to $20. These light bulbs go up to $200 per set. So you get one control box and you get 2 light bulbs. Okay, so that's all for value-based pricing. Instead, now we're going to look at cost-based pricing. So as mentioned, cost-based pricing, we are setting the price of a product based on the cost of productions, right? So this includes the raw materials, our logistics, and also a margin. So a margin is our profit margin, what we want to earn, right? So I've written an example here. If your product is cost 1 ringgit to make, all right, and you want a 30% profit margin, so you want to make 30% of 1 ringgit. So the price that you will sell your product at is 130. So there are many different types of costs in cost-based pricing. The first one is called fixed costs. So fixed costs are called fixed costs because they do not change. So if let's say you are a manufacturer, you have rent, you have interest, you have your employee salaries, all of these costs don't change regardless how many products you sell. All right, so fixed costs. Instead, we have variable costs, which will change directly with the level of production. So the more products you produce, the higher your variable costs. So raw materials and packaging, this makes sense, right? The more things that you produce, you will need more materials and you will need more packaging to pack your finished goods in. So naturally, these two are variable costs. So total cost of the product is the combination of your fixed costs and your variable costs, right? Combination of fixed and variable costs. So from the example that I gave you just now, cost plus pricing, 1 ringgit plus 30% markup, this is called cost plus pricing. So what are the benefits of using this? Our sellers are certain about the cost of the products, right? So we produced it, we know how much it costs us to produce, and if we sell it at that price, we will definitely make money. And also because this method, we do not charge it at an extremely high price compared to value-based pricing. So the price competition is minimized because it's very difficult for other people to undercut our prices because their cost of production, unless their cost of production is much lower than ours. And buyers tend to think that this method is fair. So the disadvantage compared to value-based pricing is that we ignore the demand and our competitors' prices, right? Because we are setting our price solely based on our cost of production. So imagine the thing that we are selling at 130, there's actually a potential that we could sell it at 10 ringgit instead. So that's where a potential loss may happen. And then competition-based pricing is to set the price of your products based on what your competitors are offering. So what kind of strategies they use, what kind of cost, what kind of prices. This is sort of copying your competitors' pricing. So the example given here is Caterpillar. Caterpillar is dominating the heavy equipment industry. So they have equipments for agriculture, for farming, and even for constructions. So despite them charging a much higher premium compared to their competitors, many of their customers believe that Caterpillar is able to give them more value than the price that they are charging. So even though they are selling more expensive, but the value that these products can give gives the customer more confidence to continue buying for them despite the higher price. Okay, so besides cost and value, we have a few other factors that can affect a company's pricing decisions. Okay. A method that reverses the whole process is called target costing. So instead of starting with value or with our cost of products, we have a target selling price. So for example, if I want to sell a car at $30,000, all right. So with that, I will reverse it. I want to sell it at 30,000, and then I will look back at my raw materials. And then I will look at my other costs, so my fixed costs and my variable costs. And I will calculate each of them, whether it can be lower than $30,000. And that way, so let's say if my total cost ends up to be $10,000, all right? So I have a profit of $20,000. So this is how target costing is done. We start off with the price that we want to sell, and then we move backwards and we look at what are the total costs that we need to make the product and whether it can fit within this selling price. In terms of organizational considerations, this should be where we look internally within the company. Who should set the prices and who can influence the prices, right? So companies usually work together with all the different departments to make sure that we can achieve the target price that we want to sell. So production, sales, and finance have to work together. This is especially prevalent in the industries like airlines, aerospace, railroads, and oil companies. So those big companies that are very sensitive to price. So in the next few slides, they are all very economic-based theories that actually can influence the prices. Let's have a look at them, shall we? So before setting up prices, the marketer or the company must understand how demand and supply can affect the price of your products. Okay, so if demand is more than supply, then prices will go up because there is scarcity. But if supply is more than demand, then prices will go down. Why? Okay, so when there is more demand than supply, that means there are more willing customers who want to pay. So let's say if there are 10 people who are willing to buy this product, okay, but there is only 3 supplies. So they have to fight for it. And by fighting for it, sellers have the advantage by raising the prices to see who is willing to pay more to buy the product. Anyway, because there are more buyers than sellers. But in the other way around, when there is more sellers than when there is more supply than demand, then so let's say now we have 3 buyers, but we have 10 of that product. So there is too much product for the sellers. So in that way, sellers must reduce their price in order to sell their products, to make these 3 to become more. So maybe if they reduce their prices, demand will become 5 or become 7. That way they can sell more. Okay, so in economics, we have 4 different types of competition or 4 types of market. Okay, so from pure monopolistic, oligopolistic, and pure monopoly, it changes the number of sellers in the market, right? We all played the game Monopoly before, right? In Monopoly, it means that there is only one seller. oligopolistic, we have several sellers, so maybe 2, 3, or 4, and it goes more and more into pure competition. Okay, so as you can see here, most to least number of sellers. And also in the different markets, the prices of the products also change accordingly. In pure competition, we have very low price, and in monopolistic markets, we have very high price. So for example, in the pure monopoly market in Malaysia, we have people like TNB. This is our national energy provider. So there are no other competitors with them. They can charge whatever price that they want to, and we have no choice. We have to continue using their services because electricity is a basic necessity. And regardless of how they raise their prices, we have no choice but to continue using them. So this is a case where there is an extremely high amount of demand, but there is very little supply. Okay, so with this, they can charge whatever prices that we want, and we have no choice but to continue using. So just a fun fact, actually in Malaysia, there is no law that says that nobody else can start another power company. But the problem is, to start a power company requires an enormous amount of investment, which can go from a few 100 million to a few tens of billions. So they do not need to set any laws regarding that because price and the cost itself is a natural deterrent or barrier to entry. So if you have money to start your own power company, go ahead, because you are actually allowed to do that. There is a company in Malaysia called YTL that actually does it on a small scale. Okay, so I think I've already explained this. The higher the demand, the higher the prices, and depends on the supply as well, but generally is in that sense. So the lower the demand, the lower the prices. And then in price elasticity of demand, we have a few things here. So price elasticity is the measure of the sensitivity of demand to changes in prices. So, inelastic demand is when the demand is not sensitive, and elastic demand is when demand is very sensitive to prices. Okay, so to let you understand this a little bit better, we have an example of gas prices or petrol prices in different countries. So an example that is shown here is from gas prices or petrol prices. Okay, in the United States, because of their free market regulations, every gas station is free to set the prices of their petrol. So if you use Waze in the US, they actually have the gas prices of that station listed, and it is fluctuating, so it changes on a daily basis. Okay, so this is an example of a very elastic demand kind of product. When the prices here can differ from a few cents per gallon, then customers will or will not pump there, right? So I was in the US myself personally a few years ago, and I always checked the prices of gas before I went to pump, because I rented a car there. It doesn't make any difference. I just wanted the cheapest petrol possible. So that is an example of a elastic demand. An example of inelastic demand instead is something like luxury goods. So, if you want that LV bag, which is $5,000, if they reduce it or they increase it to $5,300, for example, it's an increase of $300. But if you really wanted it, that $300 is nothing to you anyway. So that is an example of inelastic demand. Right? All right, so that was the first part of pricing. It's very lengthy, I would say. There's a lot of things to discuss in price as well. So let's play a little game, shall we? It's known that we Malaysians are one of the most price-sensitive people in the world. And in fact, we are the number one most price-sensitive consumers in the whole of Southeast Asia. Yes, that's a lot to process. We still have part 2 of price. So let's take a break. Let's play a game, alright? Have you guys heard of the game called The Price is Right? So I've made sort of a mini version of it. So let's have a look, shall we? Alright, so the game is called The Price is Right. It's a game show that you have to guess the prices of the products inside. So there are a lot of mini games which they have done inside. Right, so let's play the first one. Right, so one of the games that they always play is called Higher or Lower. You know, they will just give you a product and its price. So your job is to find out whether the price is actually higher or lower, the actual price of the product. Okay? Yeah, I think Southeast Asian people are generally quite price sensitive. That's why we love online shopping. Okay, so the first product. Alright, I'm gonna need all of you to go to this link. Okay, to give me the answer. Okay, so the first product. First product we have is a treadmill. So it's 1,000 ringgits. Do you guys think it's higher or lower? Go vote at straw poll now. I will give you about 1 minute to do it. Guys, no cheating, no searching online for the price, okay? You're supposed to use your mind powers and tell me whether it's higher or lower. I'm gonna set a 1 minute timer. And when 1 minute is up, I will reveal the results. What do you guys think? Are treadmills expensive or cheap? So do you think this is worth more or less than 1,000 ringgit? Interesting. We have a 60 to 40% vote right now. Alright, 1 minute is up. So, 60% of you guys said that this is worth more, and 40% said less. Dun, 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 dun. And the actual answer is... the actual price is actually 999, so the correct answer is lower. So congrats to the 40% of you guys. Okay, we have round 2 of the same game. Let me just set it up first. Easy. 60% didn't think so. Okay, use the second straw poll link for the second round. Alright, I'm gonna show you what it is. Alright, for the second round we have a washing machine. is this washing machine worth 2599. It is a 10 kilo washing machine. Okay, go to the straw poll link and vote now. I will start the 1 minute timer. Washing machines are expensive, right? 2599. Is this cheap or expensive? Let's have a look at this time. Oh wow, we have a tie. It's 50-50 right now. Interesting. Close fight indeed. Yes, the whole point is not to let you see the brand. So, you just perceive the product. Do you think that it's cheap or do you think it's expensive? Aha! When you're playing the game The Price is Right, you don't get to know what kind of functions it have. Alright, 1 minute is up. Yes, it's a 10 kg washing machine. Okay, 1 minute is up and the final result is... Let me try and show you instead. It's not working. Alright, never mind. Alright, so let's review the answer, shall we? The correct answer is 2799. So the correct answer is actually higher. And I think only about 30+% of you got this correct. So, good job guys. It looks like the minority of you guys are more price sensitive than I thought. Not bad, not bad. Yep, this is actually the brand of this washing machine is Electrolux. I believe it's a Malaysian brand, so it's not too expensive, I guess. Washing machines was more expensive in the past. Yeah, they've definitely become a commodity now. It's much cheaper. Alright, that's the break. So now we shall go into the second part of the pricing chapter. You guys ready? Really, is it that cheap in Pakistan? Alright, so you guys can continue talking in the chat while I will start the second video, alright? Let's go. Of course, there are a few more external factors that we usually have no control over that can determine the price of our products. For example, economic conditions. So in the era where after COVID has hit, many businesses were forced to reduce their prices because they were not doing too well. So they wanted to at least be able to sell enough to cover their costs. So they had to reduce prices to increase the demand. And yeah, that is how economic conditions can affect your prices indirectly or directly. We also have to consider the prices that we are giving to our resellers and whether or not they can have enough profit. And if not, then we have to reduce our prices to them so that they can sell at a price that the market is willing to accept. Of course, the government is also a big factor that affects our pricing. So in Malaysia, for example, there are several products that are sort of government controlled, right? They have set a price ceiling on certain products like basic necessities, like such as rice, oil. So those products, they have a price ceiling that is set by the government to protect consumers. So we as sellers cannot price our products above those prices. So social concerns are also needed to be taken into consideration when setting our prices. So for example, if we wanted to set our prices lower, such as through short-term sales or by reducing our packaging costs, we may end up using non-sustainable or non-recyclable material like plastic. So in that sense, our profit goals for the long term may be affected because society is starting to shun people who are using products like that. So in the previous chapter, we've discussed how companies price their products. But what about new products? Obviously, there is a different way to price new products versus existing products. So largely, there are two different ways to do so. First of all, we have the market skimming pricing strategy, which sets an initial high price to skim the revenue layers off from the market. Alright, so there are two conditions for this to work. First of all, the product quality and image must be able to support the initial high price. And secondly, buyers must want the product at each given price. Okay, so why is there a picture of a Hai Di Lao hot pot here? So when you order the spicy flavor hot pot, or actually most of the other ones as well, when you cook more and more stuff inside, they tend to be these layers of oil that stays on top of the soup. So when we take off the top layer of the soup, or the oil rather, that act itself is called skimming. And so market skimming pricing is doing this. All right, we are skimming the layers of revenue instead of the oil. So how is this done? Let's take for example, when Huawei initially launched their Mate 30 Pro, they sold it at 3,599 ringgit. So that's the original price at launch. And then 6 months later, all right, so this is at introduction. So at introduction, you have people who are willing to pay more to get the latest and greatest. We call them the early adopters. So we charge them an initial high price. Secondly, 6 months later, the products have moved on into the growth stage of the product life cycle. So we have to reduce our prices because there are more competitions now. And we are able to sell it at 2,999. Right, so first of all, we skim the launch price, and then we skim the prices at 6 months later. And 1 year later, when the product is moving on into the maturity and decline stage of the product life cycle, right? Because they are going to launch their new Huawei Mate 40 after 1 year. So we can only now sell it at 2,599, and we sell this to the laggards or the late adopters. So a product like this uses market skimming pricing strategy and fulfills the two conditions, which is there are buyers at each different price and the product quality is able to support the initial high price. Now, the second strategy is called the market penetration pricing. So in this method, we set a very low price for a new product in order to attract a large number of buyers and a large market share. So the purpose of setting the low price is so that we can have a large base of customer, which means we can divide our total costs, especially our fixed costs, over that large number of customers. So this is sort of utilizing economies of scale, but it can also work for services besides just product. So an example that I like to use is Netflix and Spotify. Most people are already using their services and they are using market penetration because they charge a relatively low monthly charge. So like in Malaysia, Netflix is 50 ringgit a month and Spotify is about 13 ringgit. So 13 ringgit a month. So what they're trying to do here is to get as many users as possible so that they are able to divide out their fixed costs and eventually will reduce their total costs. Similarly, there are two conditions for market penetration pricing to work. First of all, the costs must go down as sales increase. And second of all, the market must be very price sensitive. So high elasticity. Okay? So if the customers are not price sensitive, then chances are market penetration pricing will not work. So that was to set prices for new products. But now we are going to look at strategies that companies use to maximize the profits that they can get from their total product mix. So remember that the product mix is the total number of products or product lines that a company sell. So how do we maximize our profits through pricing? There are a few different ways. There are 5 different ways that companies are commonly using this. So for product line pricing, they set a price for an entire line. So like the softeners here, as shown, they are all sold at the same price of $18.95. And even if there were any differences in prices, it's because of the difference in cost to add the additional feature of flavor in that particular product. Secondly, the optional product pricing is adding features or additional items to complement the main product that you are buying and charging customers more for those features. So like the iPhones that we show here before, I like to use the iPhones a lot because it's easy to explain, right? They always use a lot of very good marketing strategies. So in each lineup of the 4 different iPhones here, each of them have additional features. And for each additional feature that you want, you have to fork out more money. Same goes for vehicles. Most cars nowadays have several models that you can choose from. So for example, the Honda City here, they are all the same 1.5 liter engine car, but the S, the E, and the V model each have different accessories and extra features. So maybe like the wireless, no, not wireless, the keyless entry to the car, or like additional speakers, or additional body kits. So for all those features that you want, you will pay extra for it, and this is part of optional product pricing. Now the third one is called captive product pricing. Literally what it means that is you are trying to keep your customers captive. You will sell them a main product which they can use at a relatively cheap price, and then you will sell them the refills of the product which will cost more, and they have to continuously buy from you. So for example, we have the Epson printers here, right? This is also the reason why every printer have their own version of ink. This is to force you to only buy back the original ink that the companies are selling. Likewise for shaving blades, for each different brand of shaving blade that you buy, chances are the cartridges or the refills cannot fit if it's not from the same brand. So in this way, customers are kept captive because they have to continuously buy back from the same brand that they initially bought from. Now the fourth one is byproduct pricing. So this is how marketers sell off the byproducts when they are making the main product so that they can get additional profits. So the easiest way to remember this in a sense is that they are turning trash into profits. So for example, furniture maker usually have some leftover wood or sawdust which they can use to sell to other chipboard makers, which will then make it into cheaper furnitures, and they can continue selling those products to a different group of customers. The same goes for a chicken ranch where they have a lot of excess dung which they can sell to farmers as fertilizers. So in that sense, they are turning their trash into profits. And lastly, we have product bundle pricing, which is to make your several products into a set. So like the McDonald's here, we have the set meal. And in this strategy, it is cheaper to buy the set than to buy the products individually, right? So you are bundling all the different products into a set and you are selling it at a reduced price. Same goes for products like the Microsoft Office. They like to put all their Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and many other Microsoft softwares, and it's cheaper to buy them as a bundle than if you were to buy them individually. Alright, another example is the Adobe Suite. It used to be that you can buy this whole bundle at a discounted price, but nowadays they have moved on into the subscription model instead. So that was to maximize profits. Okay, in the next part, we will discuss how the companies adjust prices to take account into different customers and situations. And also, you don't keep your prices the same all the time, right? You have to adjust it every now and then. So there are many different ways that businesses can do this, but these are the most common ones, and we will discuss each of them in detail. So the first one is discount and allowance pricing. This is usually used in the B2B market to encourage early payment. Okay, because B2B markets, we usually deal in very large quantity, and so a large amount of money is involved. So the first one that in discount allowance pricing is called the cash discount. So when you buy things for business use, you usually buy them on credit, which, for example, say you have 30 days to pay for your shipment of goods. All right. And a cash discount is given to those who are willing to pay you cash quickly. Okay. So, for example, if the shipment is $30,000, if they were to pay in cash, you maybe give them a 1% discount, right? So, just by paying you in cash, they can save $300, just like that. And then another term that is commonly used in the industry is this 210 net 30. So, the first number refers to the discount. The second number refers to the discount in the given time. And the last one is the actual period. Okay. So for example, if your payment is due within 30 days, if you were to pay me within 10 days, I will give you a 2% discount. So it might not seem like a lot, but because, like I mentioned, B2B businesses usually deal in very large quantities. So for example, if your shipment is $1 million, okay, a 2% discount will equate to $20,000. So if you were to pay early, you can get back that much. And as the seller, we want to receive payment as soon as possible, because the money that we can put in the bank for interest will be more than the discount that we have given to them. So if they were to pay us late, our loss is actually higher, right? So that's why we want to encourage our customers to pay us quickly. Now, segmented pricing is similar to our market segmentation. It means that we are going to segment our customers to make them pay different prices for the same product or service. But there is no difference in us providing the product or service to them. Okay, there is no difference in cost. It costs us the same, but they will pay differently. What do I mean by this? Okay, under segmented pricing, there are many different ways that we can segment our customers. Okay, so let's take a look at the examples. So in time-based pricing, we segment our customers based on time, and we charge them more or less depending on the time. So this is very commonly used in taxi fares or maybe even food deliveries. So there are peak hours where customers have to pay more, such as, in the peak hours of traffic, while in the morning going to work, and in the evening while it's after work hours, as well as after midnight. So usually taxis will have an additional surcharge on that. Similarly, food delivery also start to increase these charges during peak hours. So that is what we call time-based pricing. Okay. Secondly, we have location-based pricing, which is to segment our customers based on location. So for example, in a cinema, like in Malaysia, the TGV cinema likes to use location-based pricing. The further you are sitting away from the movie screen, generally the better your movie viewing experience. So they know this, and they charge you more for seats that are further away from the screen. Thirdly, we have product form pricing, which is a marginal increase in product features or benefits, but we can sell them at a much more expensive price. Okay, so this is commonly done in Windows. Like previously in Windows 7, we have the Home, Professional, and Ultimate, where each of them have some additional features, but they will each cost much more. Okay, so remember, our cost of providing the product or service is almost the same, but we can get much more profits and much more and higher selling price for each variant. So customer segment pricing is used when the business realizes that there is a need to differentiate their customer base and charge a different price for the exact same product or service. So the two examples that I've given here is theme parks and also museums. So the cost for them to provide you this service is actually the same, but they will charge differently for adults, for children, citizens, non-citizens, and even students. So what are the criteria for segmented pricing to be effective? Well, first of all, obviously, the markets must be segmentable. So you must be able to differentiate the market, such as, theme park one, we have children, we have adults, and we have school children. So those are the different segments that we can have. And then the segments must show different degrees of demand. So for theme parks, obviously, children and adults have different demand. And then the cost of you segmenting the market must not exceed the extra revenue that you can earn. Basically, this means that segmented pricing must be profitable. And last of all, it must be legal within that country. For customers to adjust prices based on psychological pricing, it is to make use the perception of people when they think about prices and quality. So for most people, generally, when we think about a high quality product, it should cost more. And likewise, a lower quality product will cost less. So psychological pricing uses this knowledge to charge customers' prices to induce the judge of quality. For example, when we look at this ice watch, one is $100 and one is $99.99. So obviously the differences in price is only 1 cent, but when you put it at 99, chances are more people will buy it rather than 100. Why is that so? This is because when the prices are priced like this, customers tend to believe that they are spending closer to $90 rather than $100. And overall, there is only 2-digit. You are spending in the 2-digit zone rather than in the 3-digit zone. And another way of psychological pricing is by, I wouldn't call it a false markdown, but it's just a tactic used, right? This is all goes back to the perceived value of a product. So when the product is priced at $100, there are no demand. But when it is priced at $200, which is marked down to a $125, the perceived value of the product is that the shoes are $200. And now I'm able to buy something that is worth $200 at $125. And this is how marketeers use price to induce demand. But you have to beware. Psychological pricing can backfire on you if you don't use it properly. So for example, a team of researchers actually tried this out and they asked people, which one would you choose? Would you rather choose a $299 LASIK or a $300 ones? So based on the psychological pricing that we discussed, obviously we will choose the $299, right? Because it's cheaper. Well, that's wrong. Actually, the results show that more people would buy the $300 one because they perceive that the $300 LASIK has a better quality than the $299 one. So LASIK is a very important surgery for anyone who wants to take it. It carries an element of risk, right? So people perceive that the $299 one was a more risky choice and they rather pay the extra $1 to get a better quality service. Although the difference in price in actual is only $1. Another form of psychological pricing is called reference prices. So whenever I give you a name of a product or anything in general, you will have sort of a number in the back of your mind, and that is what we call a reference price. But for something that you have never bought before, you will tend to look around where you are buying and what competitors are pricing their products. So for example, if you wanted to buy this brand and you don't know if this quality is good or not, so you tend to look around the prices of all the other eggs in the aisle. So this is selling for $4, this is $3, this is $3.30, and this is also $3. So this is the $4 eggs, and you would perceive that this is the highest quality because this is the most expensive egg compared to all the competitors around. So an interesting story came from Williams Sonoma, which is a high-end consumer kitchen brand from the United States, where they initially had a bread maker which they priced at $275. And people were complaining that this is way too expensive for a bread maker. So what they did was they came up with another model which they sold at $429. Yes, obviously this is even more expensive and the whole product failed. But the $275 ones went on to sell like hotcakes and the company made a big profit. So what happened here was that a consumer's reference price was adjusted when they saw the $429 price tag. They immediately perceived that $275 is an affordable and acceptable price because there is an even more expensive one out there. To adjust prices, companies can also use promotional pricing. I think this is very common. We see it every day now. There are always special events that companies can make use of to throw a sales promotion. So in the promotional pricing, it is usually in a limited time offer. And also there are cash rebates or discounts that are given to customers. So for example, in Malaysia, we are a multiracial society. So we have many different cultures that we like to celebrate. For example, we have Deepavali sales, we have Hari Raya sales, and we even have Chinese New Year sales. Now that we are on the topic of promotional pricing, let's talk about the 11/11 sale in China, which started in China. So did you know that the initial story was about 4 single guys, which is why the 4 ones here, they look like 4 single guys, in China wanted to break out of singlehood. So they wanted to get a partner, but they could not. And they unanimously decided that 11/11 would be the day that they would splurge and spend to buy something for themselves as a consolation that they are still single. Okay, and this trend caught on in China, and eventually Singles Day became a popular day for people to set up blind dates. It was supposed to be for people to break out of singlehood, right? But because of the element where they can buy something, they should buy something to console themselves, the online marketplaces in China actually took advantage of this and made it into a single day sale for all the single people in China. Obviously, since then, we know that it has become a global phenomenon. And because this started in China, the term is actually called 双十一, which basically means double 11. So since then, Alibaba has trademarked this term and is only legally theirs to use. So since Lazada was bought over by the Alibaba group, that's why you will see the 11/11 sale, but rather the term 双十一 will also appear on their platform. Whereas on Shopee, you will not see the 双十一 term because it is not legal for them to use. So how successful has this pricing promotion been? In 2018, they earned $30.8 billion in one day, 38.4 billion for 2019, and in 2020, during the year of the lockdown, people were spending a lot during that year, and they have made $74 billion in 24 hours. Alright, the next price adjustment strategy is geographical pricing. So this is to charge customers differently based on the freight and the logistics. So first of all, we have the FOB origin, free onboard pricing. So basically, it just means that you are segregating the customer's shipping based on their location, right? So for example, you have 3 different customers, okay? This is you. Okay, then you have a customer at point A, customer at point B, and a customer at point C. Alright, so free on board means that you are going to keep the price of the product the same, but you are going to charge them differently based on their location. So obviously, the nearer one will be cheaper, the further one more expensive, and the furthest even more expensive. So free onboard pricing, the price of the product remains the same, but you charge customers more as they are further away from you. Okay, so this makes sense, right? Secondly, we have the uniform delivered pricing. So you charge the same prices to all 3 of your customers. So in uniform delivered pricing, you charge the same delivery charges to all your customers. So regardless of how near or how far they are, you charge them the same amount of money. So you will divide out the total cost of shipping for all your different customers, and everybody receives the same delivery charges. This might be useful because you are able to reach more customers because everybody is treated the same. And also, you have a higher chance that you will get more customers because they don't perceive that your shipping charges are too expensive for them. And at the end of the day, you can actually divide out the total cost among all the different customers, and you might end up with the same cost as free on board. Now, zone pricing is very similar with FOB, but instead of the exact location, the company sets up different zones, right? So maybe you have from your point, you have to go to a southern zone, a middle zone, and a northern zone, right? So each of it have a different distance, and you charge them different prices based on the zone that they are in. So this is especially for big countries where they have many states, and they usually charge a different price for a different state. So each state is considered one zone on its own. Now, basing point pricing means that the seller will choose a certain location as its main point and charges the customers the freight cost from that city to them. Okay, so for example, if I'm a manufacturer in Selangor, I will choose Kuala Lumpur as my basing point. So all my customers in Ipoh, in Penang, in Johor, in Malacca, I will charge them accordingly based on the shipping from KL to their respective states. And last of all, we have the freight absorption charging, which means you do not charge your customers anything at all for shipping. This is so that you can get more business, and is especially useful for market penetration strategy. Okay. So the business needs to get as many customers as possible. And with the larger volume, their cost per delivery will be reduced because it can be averaged out. Another strategy that companies use is called dynamic pricing, which means to continuously adjust the prices to meet the different needs and demands of customers. So this is obviously seen very constantly online. If you were to go to Shopee or Lazada and you were to check out a price of a product, okay, monitor it over 1 month, chances are you will see that it's being adjusted continuously because of rising or reducing demand. So another company that continuously uses this dynamic pricing is actually Grab. So they like to change their prices based on different times, right? Like we said just now, during peak hours, the prices are different. During off-peak hours, the prices are different. And during midnight, they have different charges as well. So that is based on time. They will conduct dynamic pricing. Depending on the traffic condition, they will also adjust their prices as well. And also even depending on weather conditions. So last but not least, we have international pricing, which is companies have to decide what kind of price they want to set or to change on the country that they are selling their product to. All right, so countries like China actually have a very high import tax. In China, they may have a 25% tax on luxury goods, 30% for cosmetics, and 20% on high-end watches. So as a result, high-end products in China can cost 50% more compared to the product's original country of origin. Okay, so a Levi's jeans in US may sell for $30. It may be sold, the exact same product may be sold for $63 in Tokyo and $88 in Paris. So companies will have to comply with the local rules and regulation and adjust their prices accordingly. And with that, we have completed the third of the fourth piece, pricing. All right, so 3 P's down, 1 more to go. Not so bad, right? How's everyone doing? Still alive? Okay, 210 net 30. Okay, this one is a little bit complicated, isn't it? Okay, don't fall asleep. Go make your coffee while I explain this one. So 210 net 30. slide 51 actually. Okay, so you can see the slides, right? Why is it the tiny one? Okay, here we go. So 210 net 30. Basically, what we're saying is this is for B2B. So normally when you sell products to B2B, we give them a credit term, right? So they are given a certain amount of time to pay us back because it's usually in a very large volume, so it's very expensive. So for example, if your shipment, let's say you are selling to one of the retailers, people such as Tesco or Giant or Giant Grocer. So you sell 1 million ringgit worth of products to them, okay? And you give them 30 days to pay you back, right? So that's what net 30 means. In 30 days, you have to pay me the net amount, which is 1 million ringgit. But if you were to pay me within 10 days, which is this 10 here, I will give you a 2% discount. Alright, so 210 means a 2% discount if you pay me in 10 days. And if you were to pay me back in 30 days, then it will be the net amount. Okay, I hope that makes sense for you. And then 67. Okay, slide 67 is this one. It's one of the geographical pricings. Okay, freight absorption pricing basically means me as the seller, I will bear all the cost of shipping. So this is very common, right? When you buy things online, there is a free shipping voucher, or for certain products, if you buy a certain amount of price, they will give you free shipping. Alright, so that's what freight absorption pricing is. The seller will absorb all the costs and give out free shipping to your customers. So you do this when you need to have as many customers as possible. So you use free shipping as a way to get them to buy from you. If free shipping, would that be considered a loss? Well, of course not. Like I said, nothing is actually free in this world. So as businesses, we need to be smart. Although we are giving free shipping to our customers, then we will increase the price of our products, or increase in the price of our services. So we have to find the balance, all right? Either that or we will cut down on our margins, so we will earn less by giving them free shipping. But nevertheless, the more customers we have, the higher our revenue, right? Okay, now 68, dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing is how businesses always change their price. So if you go online, most online retailers use dynamic pricing, especially small scale sellers on Shopee. They tend to be very price sensitive when there are new competitors who are selling the same products as them. So in order to win over their competitors, they will reduce their prices. And then once the competitor is gone, then they will raise back their prices because there is less competition. So that's all dynamic pricing is. We constantly adjust our prices, right? And the example I gave also, like in Grab, right? Grab always adjusts their prices according to different times and conditions of the day. Okay, I hope that makes it clear for you. And how does Grab apply this? Right, so because they know they have a lot of data because their app is very strong, right? So they can always track the data that they have and to adjust it accordingly. So every day they know that, let's say for example, between 7 to 8:30 a.m. that is the first peak hour in the morning, so prices there is more expensive. Similarly, at between, let's say, 5 to 7 p.m. is after work hours, so that is also another peak, and they will raise prices during those time. Correct? Grab is very smart because they are very big, so they have really a lot of data. I believe they have your location data as well. So, those things are out. They work it out in the back end and in the IT stuff. Yeah, it's exactly because they don't have competition like Uber, which allows them to do such things. If they had more competition, then it wouldn't be as easy for them to do this, right? Dynamic pricing does not have to be a competition. No, dynamic pricing does not have to be a competition. It's more of the company's strategy. They want to constantly adjust. And actually, if you look at Speedmart as well, going to Speedmart, I believe it's the potato chips. If you monitor the potato chips, I believe every 1 to 2 weeks they actually change the price. Yeah. And even fresh eggs prices at Speedmart are also constantly adjusted. I'm not exactly sure why they are doing that, but I believe there is a reason for everything they do. Maybe it's usually I think it goes back to supply and demand, right? So when there is more demand, then naturally they raise the prices, and when demand is lesser, then they reduce the prices. Okay. So just to give you a quick break, let's take a look at this short video. Chrome. Okay, so let's have a sort of short break from the second one and watch this clip on sort of sales as well as pricing. It's a combination of the two topics. Okay, so enjoy.
Here's what's going to happen. I am going to have to fix you, manage you on a more personal scale, a more micro form of management. Jim, what is that called?
Microregiment?
Boom. Yes. Now, Jim is going to be the client. Dwight, you're going to have to sell to him without being aggressive, hostile, or difficult. Let's go.
All right, fine. Ring, ring. Hello?
Hello, this is Dwight Schrute from the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company.
Wow, that's great, because I need paper.
Excellent, then you are in luck, because we are having a limited time offer only on everything.
Wow, this is my lucky day.
Ask him his name.
What is your name, sir?
I am Bill Buttlicker.
Really, that's your real name?
How dare you? My family built this country, by the way.
Be respectful, Dwight, please.
Yes, Michael.
Could you hold on 1 second? That's my other line.
What? No, but I...
Hello? Yeah. No, I'm just on the phone with this stupid salesman. He's so dumb. Probably just gonna keep him on the line forever and not buy anything. Okay.
It's up to you to change his mind.
Sorry, that was a family emergency.
Oh, no, what's wrong?
You know what? That's private.
Boundaries, Dwight, come on.
I'm sorry, Mr. Buttlicker. As I was saying,
Son,
we're
you
having
just
a
have to
limited...
Speak up a little bit louder. I'm hard of hearing.
He's hard if he's an old man.
Okay, as I was saying, right now we are having...
Talk louder.
Okay, our prices have never been lower.
Son, you have to talk louder.
Never been lower.
Louder, son!
Buttlicker! Our prices have never been lower!
Okay, stop it. That is totally inappropriate. You never yell at the client.
Now,
never
you
yell
listen
at
to
the
me,
client.
sir.
Here we go.
The 3 words I would describe you as is aggressive, hostile, and definitely difficult.
Please, Mr. Buttlicker.
I'm irate right
Give
now.
me the phone.
Please give me
He's
another
irate.
chance.
Give me the phone.
Mr. Buttlicker.
Give me the phone.
I have to put you on with my boss.
Well, I should hope so. Who is this?
Hello, this is Michael Scott, regional manager.
Well, this is William M. Buttlicker.
Hello, Mr. Buttlicker. How may we help you?
Michael, I like the sound of your voice. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy $1 million worth of paper products today.
See how it's done? Thank you very much, sir. I don't think you'll regret it. See what I did?
You're the master.
There is one condition, Michael.
Yes.
You have to fire the salesman that treated me so terribly.
Don't do it, Michael.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that. I really love The Office. I'm quite sad that they took it off Netflix, unfortunately. But yeah, so sales and prices, right? Okay, so we need to move on to our last P. We're running out of time actually. So the fourth P is place, or more commonly known as distribution. All right, let's go straight into it. The last P of the four Ps is place, or actually more commonly we call it distribution. So in this chapter, we are going to talk about how are we going to get our goods to our customers. As a manufacturer, you need to know how are you going to get your finished goods to your end consumers. So you need to go through layers of distribution. You can go through channels like wholesalers, retailers to help us sell our goods. And as a trader, which means people who buy and resell stuff, we need to know where can we get our supplies from and how are we going to sell it to our customer after that. So as a business, after all, we cannot survive on our own and we rely on a lot of cooperation with different parties. So the entire system from the manufacturers all the way to the end consumer is what we call a value delivery network. Okay, so remember, marketing is all about delivering value to our customers. So in the value delivery network, this is how we are going to get it from start to end. So as a business, you are in the middle. And those that are above you are what we call upstream partners. So they are including people like our suppliers, so those who support us with raw materials, information, component parts, finances, and so on, so that we can have a finished goods. And then those below us are what we call downstream partners. These are people that help to get our products to our end consumers. Okay, so this can include retailers and wholesalers. A marketing channel, also known as a distribution channel, is a set of interdependent organizations that make a product or service available to customers. Sometimes as a company, you need to focus on what you are good at. So the picture clearly shows that there are many different manufacturers and many different customers. So for each manufacturer to get their products out to each customer is actually a very inefficient system, right? So, how down here we have 9 different, we need to go through 9 different paths in order for each manufacturer to get their products to each customer. Whereas if you have a distributor in the middle, each manufacturer will only need to deal with the distributor and the distributor will only need to deal with the customers, thereby reducing the total number of distributions to 6. So in this way, it's not only more efficient, it's more effective, as well as it may be better for the environment because we are able to maximize our distribution and our logistics. So parties like food delivery, like Foodpanda and Grab, actually offer their services to become distributors, right? So instead of manufacturers, they have restaurants, and then they help to deliver the good to the end consumers. And restaurants are able to focus on what they are good at, which is producing food. And the distributor can focus on what they are good at, which is to distribute the goods out. So the most important thing about channel members is how they add value to your business and products. Some products may not be wanted in country A, but through a channel member, they can help to fulfill the demand in country B, and that makes additional profit for the company. So channel members can also help to bridge the time and location gap that separates the goods and services from users. Alright, so all the products and all the services, as long as it doesn't reach the end consumer, it is not able to be valuable. So that's why we need channel members to help us to get the products all the way to the customers. So value-added services can include things like information, training, after-sales service, promotions, and even logistical services. So one of the key information that a reseller can provide to a manufacturer is why certain SKUs or SKUs may sell better than another. Alright. So for your info, an SKU is a stock keeping unit. So in each variation of a product, let's say you have this Maggi, right? So you have the small pack, and then you have the medium pack and a large pack. So each of these is considered one SKU, right? And as channel members can help to give information, valuable information to manufacturers. So maybe the large model is selling better in Justco, all right? So Justco is the reseller, and they got the products from Maggi to sell to the end consumers. So they can give information such as why is the large product selling better than the medium and the small. So for example, if in this area there are more foreign workers, so foreign workers like to buy instant noodles to eat, as well as they like to buy the bigger pack because it is more valuable to them. It's at a cheaper cost overall. So instead of choosing the medium or the small, they rather buy the big pack and eat one pack and be full enough. So information like this will help the manufacturer to send out more large SKUs to Aeon in this branch in particular, instead of selling the medium or the small ones to them, in order to fulfill the demands of the residents in the area. Right? This is just a hypothetical example. And so value-added services by intermediaries can come in many different forms. Like I mentioned, it can be facilitating, it can be transactional, or it can be in terms of logistical. So number of channel levels means number of layers that the intermediaries there are in each channel. Okay, direct marketing channel means that there are no intermediaries in between, and the manufacturers will go direct, or the producer of the products or service will go direct to their customers. Whereas an indirect marketing channel means that they will go through some layers of intermediaries. Right, so as you can see from this figure, so we have from the producers that go straight to the consumers. So this is what we call a direct channel. And those that go through wholesalers and retailers is what we call indirect channel. So the difference between these two is actually between consumer and business marketing channels. Actually, they are relatively similar. It's just that the names, instead of wholesaler, it's just a different name. But basically, they go through the exact same kind of channels. Alright, so an example here is we have the direct marketing products like such as Amway. They go from producers straight to the consumers. And from Nestle, they go through retailers such as Shopee and Speedmart, and then they sell it to the consumers. So online platforms like Shopee and Lazada are actually considered retailers. They are just a retailing platform. And then of course we have the more traditional kind of channel, which is from the producer. They go to a wholesaler, and from the wholesaler we go to a retailer, and then only it reaches the end consumer, right? So this is examples of companies that are operating in Malaysia that uses this type of different channels. So the value added from these channels sometimes is also in terms of cost, because wholesalers can help retailers to reduce their risk and costs by holding more of the goods. Okay, because retailers may not be able to sell as fast, so they only take the goods that are needed as and then from the wholesaler instead of ordering a large quantity direct from the producer, if they are not able to sell. So I have to explain what each intermediary is, right? A wholesaler is usually an intermediary which buy the products in bulk, usually straight from the manufacturers or producers, and then resells them to other businesses. Okay, so a wholesaler's customer is another business. And a retailer, on the other hand, is a business that sells direct to the end consumer. So people like you and me to use the product. Okay, so they may either buy direct from the manufacturer or from a wholesaler, depending on their purchasing power and volume, like I mentioned just now. A distributor or dealer is a party that adds value through services. Sometimes they help in stocking and managing inventory. So if you go to the supermarkets such as Justco, and you see that there are people who are from the company arranging goods on the shelves. So those are distributors that give additional value-added services to Justco, for example. And then an agent or a broker is an intermediary that usually represents the manufacturer but do not own any of the goods. Okay, so this type of intermediary is especially important when they are trying to sell goods across borders, as agents will have better knowledge of the local market. So imagine if you have a product that you want to sell to a new country, you do not know any of the distributors, you do not know any of the retailers, any of the wholesalers. So you have to go through an agent or broker who will help you to get your products into that country. So that's what an agent or broker is. So as we mentioned, the goal of each channel member is to add value to the product or services, but at the same time, they also want to make profits. So sometimes they can come into conflict with each other, right? So although they are supposed to work together, the fact is that they are all independent organizations from each other. And sometimes in their own interests, they will act alone and disagree with the other parties. So there are several types of conflicts that can happen in a channel. So two types. First one is horizontal, second one is vertical. A horizontal conflict happens when the channel members are in the same layer. So for example, you are a dealer in, let's say you are a Toyota dealer in Subang Jaya, okay, and there is another dealer in Petaling Jaya, all right. So you guys are both in the same layer because you deal directly with the consumers. So both are actually very near to each other, but let's say one of the branches decides to undercut the prices set by the company, right? If the car was supposed to sell for 70,000, they decide to sell it for 65,000 instead. And customers from Subang Jaya may flock over to PJ because it's cheaper here for the exact same cars. So they will cannibalize the sales of another branch nearby. And this is what we call a horizontal conflict. On the other hand, a vertical conflict happens between members of different layers of the same channel. Okay, so for example, you are McDonald's, all right? So you are one of the franchisees of McDonald's. And as we know, McDonald's have different layers that they go through, so on and so forth, until it reaches you, the franchisee, all right? So what happens is McDonald's wants to increase sales overall, right? And in order to do that, they are adding a lot of complex menu items that needs more time for you to prepare. Okay, at the same time, the addition of new complex menu items will also require the franchisees to pay more in order to be able to provide those kind of menu items. And it could take years for you to recover back that cost. So this will cause a lot of dissatisfaction among the franchisees. And when the franchisees are not happy, it will affect their service level to the end consumers. So at the end, it bites them back if sales were to drop instead of go up like they had initially planned. So these different members of the same channel are both acting for their own interests, and this is what we call a vertical channel conflict. So in the olden days, each channel member is usually managed individually. So in the conventional marketing channel, you can see this is the old ways, but in the new ways, the vertical marketing system actually unifies the producers, the wholesalers, and the retailers that ultimately saves the same customers. All right, so this is the conventional distribution system I mentioned, and vertical, so everything is unified. So there is a channel leader sort of that unifies all three of them. This is done today a lot by IT systems so that for those who are serving the same customers, they have to make sure that they can avoid the vertical or horizontal channel conflicts. So horizontal marketing system works when two or more companies who serve the same customer but do not compete with each other cooperates for new marketing opportunities. So cigarette companies like to put their tobacco products at Mamak stores, right? So that they can both sell their non-competing products to the same customer. On a larger scale, the world's airlines companies are usually in an arrangement through alliances. Either there's three main ones called the Star Alliances, the SkyTeam, or One World. So for each of these airlines, they do not fly to every single country in the world. So that's why sometimes you have connecting flights to a country through another different airline because they are serving the same customers, but their flights might be to different countries. So this way, companies can increase the coverage of their flights while having a cooperation with another airline. So most companies today do not just use a single channel to distribute their products. So a combination of everything is what we call the multi-channel distribution system. All right. So as we can see here, the one single producer may go through several channels. Especially if they have differentiated their products for consumer and business segments. So for example, milk products. So we have milk products that go maybe direct to consumers. Who knows, maybe there is a milk direct marketing program. Like in the US, I think some of the companies actually do that. Then most normally they will go through some retailers which will sell to the consumers. So in this way, they have different customer segments. As well as they may sell to business segments. So they have a sales force that maybe sell, directly to cafes where the baristas need milk. And then they have another channel where they can sell the milk products in wholesale or bulk to restaurants or to catering services that need large quantities of milk. So one single producer can have multiple different channels in order to serve different customer segments efficiently and effectively. So this intermediation is something that is happen very frequently now. As much as possible, businesses realize that the more layers that they go through, it means that the higher the cost that they will incur. So some businesses have been trying very hard to cut off as many layers as possible and to go straight to the consumers. So Spotify was built directly on this model to displace iTunes and to displace Amazon, who sells music for people to download and keep. So once upon a time, music was sold through wholesalers and retailers through CDs and tapes. But nowadays, with online and cloud streaming, physical hardware for media consumption has been reduced and these businesses have been completely taken out. So Netflix did not start out as an online company, online streaming company, but rather they were the pioneers in providing DVD by mail video rentals, right? So if you subscribe to the Netflix, the classic Netflix, they will send you DVDs of the movie for you to watch, and then they will collect it back from you to send you the next one, right? But they realized that online is the way forward, and they've been taken a very strong initiative to enter the video streaming game early, right? So Netflix and Spotify are businesses that realize that there is no need to go through so many layers of intermediary if you can reach directly to the customers. And this will come at a much cheaper and faster cost for the company. As a company, sometimes we cannot do it all. We need help from other people as well so that we can focus on what we are good at. If it means that we have to outsource our logistics to a third party to deliver our goods, for example, then so be it. So, therefore, in order to choose our marketing channel design, we need to design an effective channel. And it all starts with finding out what the customer wants and what the customer needs, as well as costs, right? So a very typical procedure. First, we analyze the consumer needs. And then we set our channel objectives. and then we find out if the customers prefer to buy our product through what methods, so the channel alternatives, and then we will evaluate whether our decision was right by evaluating the decision of using that channel. So in the first step, analyzing consumer needs, we find out what they want, what kind of market segments are there, which channel is the best to use. Do we go direct? Do we go through wholesalers or retailers? Nowadays, we actually like to go through online platforms a lot. So online platforms, they provide us multiple services. They do not just provide us with logistics, they provide us with a lot of information as well as a platform to sell our products. And of course, is to minimize the company's costs overall. Logistics has always been one of the highest costs for a lot of different products. So especially fruit products, the cost of logistics will always exceed the total cost of the product itself. Alright, when we are setting our channel objectives, we need to determine what level of customer service we have. The higher customer service level we need, then we need to choose a channel that helps us to provide this kind of service. Okay, so it's always about costs and benefits, right? So we need to reduce our costs while to maximize our profits. So trying to provide the fastest, most assortment and most services might not always be practical because of the cost. So for example, when COVID hit, many people were actually afraid of going out so badly that they have switched to buying products online. So as a business, we need to maximize the use of our channel and to find out the maximum value and profits that we can get while minimizing costs. So when it comes to choosing the type of distribution that a company can use, there are several choices. So the first one is called the intensive distribution, exclusive, and selective. So we will go through each of them extensively. So intensive distribution means that we want to get our products out to as many places as possible. So to think of, to know what kind of products these are, just think of convenience stores and the kind of products that they carry. So low involvement products and relatively cheap products. FMCG will all fall under intensive distribution. Now, exclusive distribution is usually for more luxury goods, where the producer only gives a limited number of dealers or agents to carry their goods. Exclusive distribution is usually used for more luxury products, where the producer only gives a limited number of dealers or agents to carry their products, and it maintains their exclusivity. Okay? So for example, if you want to buy a Breitling watch in Malaysia, okay, so this is a very high-end and expensive watch. There is only a handful of places that you can find them, right? So like maybe in Pavilion or in KLCC. So this is an example of exclusive distribution where companies want to take control of the products and who can sell them, where to get them, so that they do not get people buying and selling to raise the prices, right? Then selective distribution is in between intensive and exclusive. So this is sort of belong here actually, where there are quite many distributors but fewer than intensive ones. Okay, so most consumer electronics, furnitures, and home appliances will fall under this category. So when using channels, remember to always consider the costs associated, the control issues, and how flexible the arrangements are. Alright, so costs, control. If you are trying to sell exclusive goods and you do not want people to buy and resell your products so that they can control the prices, like for example, if you like Breitling watches, right, they are limited editions. So maybe there is only 100 of those watches. And if you do not control it, and one person may end up owning all 100 of these watches, and they will sell it at a much higher price, right? So this is an issue that happened with the PlayStation 5, as well as the graphic card launches in the consumer electronic worlds. Okay, so PS5, Xbox actually, and even graphic cards such as the Nvidia or AMD launch. When they launched their products, it was immediately sold out. Why is that? Because of control issues in their distribution channel. People who are what we call scalpers, they took a hold of all of these products here because they know that these are all high demand products. And the reason why it was sold out everywhere is because scalpers managed to take control of these producers' channel. So in that sense, they managed to snag up all the stocks. Maybe this was initially sold for $500, right? Scalpers will buy it from the whatever channels that they could get it from. They buy it at $500 and then they would sell it at $1,000 for a profit, for example. So likewise for all the products. So that is why when we are choosing our channels, we need to be very aware of the control issues that can happen. So this happened in all these products because the buying process happened online only due to many lockdowns. So all these people, they're expert scalpers. So they had multiple computers, multiple credit cards that can help them to buy all the stocks and they can keep and sell it at a much higher price. Okay, adaptability criteria stands for how flexible the arrangement are, how easy it is for you to change. And finally, when we are designing international channels, remember to consider the local culture and legislation can actually impact the channel strategy. So you need to know how people like to consume their products, right? So I mentioned just now, which channel do they prefer? In Kuwait, actually for KFC, 50% of their revenue actually comes from delivery. So if you did not know better, because in Malaysia we have the most number of fast food outlets actually come from KFC, like physical retail, right? So if you were to go to Kuwait and you use the exact same model as Malaysia, you will fail there because 50% of people actually prefer to order online or order from delivery, right? So same goes in Asian and African cities, actually in China as well. Many people prefer to order food from takeout and opt for delivery instead of physically going to the store whenever possible. Alright, so that is the third video. I actually have one more video for you guys, but it seems that we don't really have enough time because the next video is also about 20 minutes. Yeah, it's about 19 minutes, so we don't have enough time for that. I will upload the video along with all the past videos onto Times, so you guys can go and watch it later. For now, let's take our attendance first. So get your cams ready. Yeah, and I will set up the attendance for you guys. But now people still use the term reseller even if they are an individual. Well, of course, if I told you that I'm a scalper, would you buy from me? You'll probably be pretty angry at me, right? And if I tell you that I'm a reseller, it sounds like I'm a legitimate business. So definitely the chances of getting people to buy will be higher if I told you that I was a reseller. Alright, so let's get cams ready. Alright, so if you guys have any questions you want to ask me, now's the time. Right after this, I will upload the video onto Times, then you guys can watch the second part of distribution. So in that chapter, we go detail into retailers and wholesalers. Okay, I will leave this running in the background. So, any questions on today's topic? I know it's a lot to digest. Definitely, everything was supposed to be done in 2 hours per lecture. Instead, now I have to condense everything down to 1 hour for you guys. So definitely, I did not cover 100% of everything in the lecture, but all the most important parts have been covered. Okay. Yeah, if you need to play back the videos and maybe, play it back at 0.75 speed or 0.5 if it's too fast. Alright, I see that almost everyone has taken their attendance. So I guess if there are no questions here, then I will let you guys go for today. And I will see you tomorrow for tutorial. Alright, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!